Hello, everybody. Welcome to Talented 505. Welcome to the channel if you're new, or welcome back if you're a lovely subscriber. Today, me and Briar, we're gonna be doing what we've been doing for the past few albums from Queen. I believe from Queen 2 to Sheer Heart Attack. So we've been doing it for the past couple times, and today we're going to be doing the 50th anniversary of A Night at the Opera. Yes, their Stone Cold Classic album from 1975, released 50 years ago today. But Briar, how are you doing today?
Oh yeah, doing all right. Again, it's a very important day for a lot of Queen fans, especially in terms of Queen history. Definitely excited to be talking about this one. Of course, is definitely when it comes to Queen, this is generally seen as their masterpiece, their classic album. Usually, the album most people would associate the band with. So yeah, this is really great to be here. Like the times we've done before.
Oh yeah, it's a pleasure doing this. I mean, this is like when they really start to hit a stride. I mean, from this album to jazz, like they really hit like a peak, in my opinion. I mean, yeah, I love the game too. That's a really good album. Not the best album cover, but a really good album itself. But for me, from this album to jazz, you really get their best material. I mean, not that the last three albums weren't good. I mean, I love those three albums. Queen, I love that album. Queen 2 and Sheer Heart Attack, especially Sheer Heart Attack. I really love that album. Now I'm starting to kind of go down on my ranking. I love that album. I hate that it's going down, but the other albums are just kind of boasted up. Well, Sheer Heart Attack's kind of gone down. But yeah, I love A Night at the Opera. I mean, uh, but I want to ask. I'll tell you my story of how I got into it. What got you into A Night at the Opera? What was the moment you're like, you know what, I got to listen to this album, and what was your first time reactions of this album?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've said this told the story kind of before, but of course, when I was getting into Queen, I had no idea what I didn't really get the concept of an album before. I was literally just picking out Queen songs at random, and I was just kind of just like because I was really getting to this kick, especially that initial kick. And so I didn't really listen to albums per se. It was just simply I just found us look. I was just looking at Queen songs and then just kind of what seemed interesting, like oh I like that song. All right, next song, and just randomly go at. Cause this was on YouTube. This was before I got like Spotify or Apple Music or any of that stuff. Um, it's just like pure random. So I listened to a lot of these songs completely out of order. Um, and where was I going? Um, it wasn't until much later where I actually decided I think it's probably to listen to them in the proper context because songs like, going back to Queen 2, like March of the Black Queen, where you have that very abrupt end before we go into Funny How Love Is. Like I didn't it always kind of annoyed me about that abrupt cut. But then after you find out that it's just part of a whole piece, then that's kind of where I was like, oh, okay, I get it now. And so it was kind of at that point. This was like maybe a few months after that initial kick, and yeah, it just kind of went from there. So hearing the album in context definitely elevates a lot of these songs to a great extent, and so yeah, that just kind of sums it up basically.
Okay, for me, when I first got into Queen, I was like very young, of course. My mom loves Queen. I mean, I got her into like the albums, but she loved their greatest hits stuff. She had, I believe it was like the purple cover of greatest hits. I believe it started off with "We Will Rock You" and "We Are the Champions." I always forget which compilation it
Hmm.
is. I know it's like a purple cover, I believe. Um,
Yeah, I think I know
um,
what you're talking about.
Queen Great
I don't have
Hits.
it, but I do know what you're talking about.
It's I know it's like a purple cover, and that's the one that I familiarized myself with Queen. Yeah. So it has "We Will Rock You," "We Are the Champions," another one, "Bites the Dust," "Killer Queen," "Somebody to Love," "Fat Bottom Girls," "Bicycle Race," "You're My Best Friend," "Crazy Little Thing Called Love," "Now I'm Here," "Play the Game," "Seven Seas of Rye," "Body Language." Still a very strange choice for a Grace Hits compilation, but I digress. "Save Me," "Don't Stop Me Now," "Good Old Fashioned Lover Boy," and "I Want to Break Free." So those are like the 17 songs that I really. I mean, I wouldn't say body language. My mom always skipped that song because a weird song, understandably. So I like it now, but I understand why my mom would skip it. But yeah, 16 of those
Mhm.
17 songs I really known and loved. And in high school, there were a couple of people who jumped on the Queen bandwagon once Bohemian Rhapsody was released, the movie. So a lot of people hopped on the Queen bandwagon for a little bit. This one guy, I mean, he's a big Queen fan. I mean, I wouldn't say big Queen fan because he only knows the hits. Like he likes Queen a lot. He knows the band members. Like one time I was like the bassist. He's like, you just say Don Deacon. I'm like, okay, you know the band members at least, because some people only know Freddie, because again, people jumped on the bandwagon from a night from Bohemian Rhapsody, which I'm not one of them. I wasn't the one of those people who jumped on the bandwagon. And he kept saying Queen is better than Beatles. Queen is better. This is back when I was like crazy huge Beatles fan, and I'm like, you know what? You keep saying Queen is better than the Beatles. I mean, at the time, I tried listening to the News of the World, which, by the way, that's my favorite album from them now, but I couldn't get into it because I like the first three songs, but when I heard a song not sung by Freddie, for some reason, that threw me off, and that I just stopped listening to News of the World after that. I don't know why. It's weird. I'm like, this is Freddie's band. No one else could sing in it. Oh boy, was I wrong because, you know, Brian May is a great singer and I love his songs. So I'm so glad I kicked out of that stupid phase. Like, oh yeah, Freddie's not singing in it. It's trash. I don't know why I was in that phase, but you know, so not named Freddie Mercury singing in Queen was just a big mind fuck for me. Anyways, but I heard Night at the Opera though. Starts off as you know, if you're a Queen fan, as you Queen fans know, first song in the album is Death on Two Legs. I was like, this song is really, really good. This is a really, really good song. And I'm like, how have I never heard this song before? I was so mad. It was back when I
Hmm.
was in 10th grade. I'm like, how have I never heard the song before? This is like a greatest hits type song. Should have been on that greatest hits instead of Body Language, but again, I digress. um, then it goes into Laziness on a Sunday afternoon. I'm like, oh boy, I love this already. The first two songs on the album, and I'm already in love. Then it goes to I'm in love with my car, and I remember from the movie because I remember there was a scene in the movie they were talking about I'm in love with my car, and I remember being like, this song is actually on an album. This song actually exists. I thought this was like a throwaway thing. Well, I was wrong, of course, but I was listening to it. I was getting into it. I'm like, Freddie's not singing on this, but I've got to come to accept that Freddie Mercury will not sing on every Queen song. I had to come up with that mind fuck from a couple of years ago. I was either ninth or 10th, either eighth or ninth grade. That mind fuck of just not having Freddie on every Queen song. Just I had to get over that, and getting over that, I actually really like this song. I'm in love with my car. It's a great song. And then You're My Best Friend, of course, the big hit, one of the big hits on the album. Great song. I love that song. I knew that song already. I didn't. That was on that Greatest Hits album. Then this is the moment that I knew that I was really going to get into Queen. 39. 39, yeah. Truth be told, I didn't know this was Brian May singing. I don't know why. I don't know what made mistake me for not thinking this was for Freddie, for not thinking it wasn't Freddie, but I thought this was a Freddie song. I don't know why. You could judge me in the comments, understandably so. They don't sound anything alike, but I don't know why. For some reason, I was like, "Oh, this is Freddie." Freddie sounds different on the song, but he sounds really good on here. Sorry, sorry if you're a Queen fan and you hear me say that, you're like, "How are you mistaking the two vocalists?" I know. I don't know why he did. It was weird, but I looked up later, found out it was Brian. I'm like, "Oh, it was Brian." The one who sang on All Dead, All Dead. I like the song a lot better than All Dead, All Dead, and I still do, even though both songs are great. Sweet Lady, I thought was okay, but I still got into it. Seaside Rendezvous, I really like, but the song that really, I mean, 39, the two songs that really kind of told me that I was going to be a big Queen fan in the long run was the Prophet song and 39. Those two songs are like still my two favorite songs on the album to this day. Love of My Life. Again, that was great scenes in that movie. I remember he was singing that, you know. But yeah, overall, I was so impressed by this album, and that's what got me into Queen is this album. So I think A Night at the Opera for making me become the Queen fan that I am. But yeah, I mean, do you have anything else you want to add about this album that I didn't already add?
Um, I mean, I guess I'll give my 2 cents on this album, but again, kind of putting them back in context here. But yeah, for a lot of the same reasons, because it's interesting how diverse this album is. Because it just, some people can say like it goes like tonal whiplash in like a drop of a dime. Like you go from the very, very bitter Death on Two Legs, and then just quickly switches to Lazy on a Sunday Afternoon. Um, which, by the way, I remember when I first heard Death on Two Legs. I remember it actually scared me for a bit, especially that intro.
Yeah.
Especially when Roger comes in screaming. Definitely kind of was like, oh man, I'm not sure about this. But then it gets into the main song, which is it's a great song. Again, it's very heavy, great guitar work from Brian on that one. And then you have Lazy on Sunday Afternoon, which is again kind of a big whiplash, but still a very nice piece to kind of calm you down after that. But yeah, I'm in love with my car. Like it's definitely probably the song Roger's probably going to be remembered for singing, because of how much it's kind of been it's highly documented his view of this song, how he really wanted it to be the B side to Bohemian Rhapsody, um, to the point where he would lock himself in the closet until they said yes. But that's just like funny little tidbits. But it's a really fun song. Like it's really a song you can't really take too seriously. And that's a big thing about Queen is just how, yeah, they're very much perfectionists, but they don't take themselves that seriously, which is it's kind of because there's people who kind of don't like Queen because of how for stuff like this where they feel like they're not taking themselves that seriously, which I disagree with. But I really enjoy I'm in love with my car. I think it's pretty fun and kind of silly, but it's fun type of silly. Of course, John Deacon really comes into his own on this album. Of course, he has Misfire was his first composition on Sheer Heart Attack, but then he gets something unlike Misfire, which is definitely very unlike John, you would think. But here you get this very sweet kind of love song from him with "You're My Best Friend." Of course, dedicated to his wife, which they're still married to this day. Um, and that's a lovely song. The use of that Rhodes keyboard is just really nice, and just the harmony on the track is really great. It's always been a standout. And then 39, great Brian song, um, talking about space traveling and theory of relativity. The usual folk subjects you hear about. But again, like you, I've always loved this song. This was another pretty underrated one from him. I do agree, "Sweet Lady" is definitely not one of my favorite songs, but it's still it's a decent enough rock song. Of course, it has the rather infamous line, "You call me sweet like I'm some kind of cheese," which hey, there we go, Brian. That's good. That's good songwriting, Brian. Yeah. But any case, Seaside Rendezvous, I think it's fun. And the production on this album is also where they really stepped up. You have Roy Thomas Baker joining him on this album, and just the different techniques utilized, and the fact that you hear tap dancing is actually just them just tapping with thimbles on their fingers on like a metal sheet. It's just really cool. And then of course you got the epic on here, the Prophet song. Um, Another very heavy song. It's definitely the prog song of the album because it's the longest song and it goes through many changes. But I love it. It's just a really cool epic track, which blends really nicely into "Love of My Life," which is a very when it comes to like their live shows, that song would become kind of a mainstay for their live shows where it's just Brian and Freddie on stage, and Freddie's just singing to the crowd, and it's a very lovely ballad. Um, and Good Company, of course, it's another Brian song, which it's not really seen as like a popular song, but it's pretty. I think it's still pretty interesting how Brian takes his guitar and just kind of makes a whole jazz band out of his guitar, just having a lick sound like a clarinet or a trumpet or whatever. I think that ends pretty cool. And then when you talk about this album, of course, Bohemian Rhapsody. I mean, it's always going to be brought up. It's definitely the definitive track on here. It's the song that really made them hit them the big time. And we can talk about that song, but a lot of it has been said to that track. But it's still, I love the song to this day. Still very important in music history, and it deserves to be acclaimed. Which again blends right into God Save the Queen, which is just their rendition of the British national anthem, which again, very shocking they didn't do this earlier. You'd think with their name Queen, they would do that on the first album, but okay, it's fine. But yeah, there's just so many different styles on here. And I've watched this video online, I think it was Sea Tranquility, where it was just Pete Pardo and a couple other people were ranking the songs on this album. And they brought up an interesting point, is that if you actually take these songs individually, you realize just how disjointed it is. But when you put them all together, it just works. It all just fits together. Like even with all the tonal whiplash, it just blends nicely. And if you just take everything out of context, you kind of lose something, which kind of tells you just how kind of well sequenced this album is, I would say. But at the end of the day, it's a remarkable album. So much so, I own 3 copies of this album. I mean, I have this 2011 kind of reissue. It has a bonus disc, which has a couple bonus tracks on it. So it includes a long lost retake of Keep Yourself Alive that they recorded in June of 75, which is, I remember I used to listen to the retake version for a while, but nowadays I definitely prefer the original version, but it's kind of like a more faster paced version of Keep Yourself Alive, basically. It also has the operatic section from Bohemian Rhapsody a cappella, You're My Best Friend backing track. Those are still here even at this point. I'm in Love with My Car, guitar and vocal mix. And you have 2 live versions of 39 from 1977 and Love of My Life, recorded in South American Live from 1979. So this is usually my go-to version, but I also own another CD copy, and this was actually a Chinese copy I just randomly found at a record store. It's hard to tell, but the songs are translated in Chinese on the side.
That's
And
pretty cool.
even there's, yeah, so again, it was just there. So I thought, why not? And so there's the disc. So pretty cool. And then, of course, I got my vinyl copy, which is in pretty decent, pretty good condition, because normally these are usually yellow because over time they get old, but still very cool to get one that's in decent shape. And of course, you got a gatefold with all the lyrics and even all the credits here. And I always love in Freddie, well, for one thing, they don't usually it says like personnel or something like that, but here they say cast because A Night at the Opera. Gotta keep
That's
that theme going.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you have of course, you have all the credits and, of course, the no synthesizer disclaimer. And my favorite part is on Freddie's, when it mentions Freddie's, he's credited for vocals, Bechstein debauchery, and more vocals. That's all he's given.
That's
And
funny.
yeah, it's always funny. And of course, there's some other embellishments, like you have Brian May says guitar and orchestral backdrops, and then Roger and John, they're just percussion and bass, respectively. So it's funny that those two don't get that fancy of names. Well, okay, it's fine. But
Deacon.
yeah, no Deacon John either. He's long dead. He's long dead at this point.
Oh.
Yeah, rest in peace to him. But just want to showcase those because it's always been, I think, still is my favorite Queen album. It's kind of cliche, but I don't know. I think this album just sums up everything that made the band great during this time, with their production, their harmony, and their songwriting. I think this album kind of sums it all up.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I love about Queen is the whiplash of Queen. I mean, you were saying it before. I mean, the other two albums kind of had whiplash. You had that.
Yeah, I think Sheer Heart Attack definitely does it more often than this album.
Oh yeah, for sure. But this is like when they do it like perfectly, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is, and then they of course after this album they would release A Day at the Races, which that album is turning 50 in about a year from now. On Wikipedia, it's telling me December 10th, but I gotta check other places because they're weird about that. They don't like Wikipedia tells you one thing, their website tells you another thing. Breyer thought this was a week from now, so freaking I hate the internet because very unpredictable. But yeah, it's such a. I mean, there's so many different experimentations that going on, and as Breyer briefly mentioned, 0 synthesizers, none. And you would think they would add it here or there, but no, there's none. And I'd argue there's 3 epics on this album. That's how good this album. There's like 3 of them. I'd say Death on Two Legs. You start off with the epic opener, then you have the epic of epics with Prophet Song, and then you have, of course, the epic closer, which is, of course, Bohemian Rhapsody. I mean, come on, Bohemian Rhapsody. Yeah, I mean, that's like the whiplashiest song that they probably ever made. You go from the ballad to the operatic section to the hard rocker to the back to a ballad. That's like sums up Queen in a nutshell is Bohemian Rhapsody. That tells you how their albums are. It's like you're doing this and then you're doing that. It's like you don't know where Queen is going next. That's what I love about Queen is that you don't know what's going to happen next. There's like a certain like unpredictableness of them, which never gets old. But happy 50th anniversary to this album. I mean, this is such an iconic album. I mean, even though, Pete Pardo, C. Tranquil, sorry, I can't speak today, but you know what I'm talking about. Even though they do give up a good point that it is disjointed, knowing that each song you look at each individual song, you're like, how does this album work? They managed to make it work. And they would do it. I mean, my favorite album is either News of the World or Day at the Races. Those are like my 2 favorite, but I can't underestimate the impact that this album had on me. I mean, this turned me into the Queen fan I am today, so I can't really. It would be disrespectful if I didn't give it its flowers, and I'm so glad we were able to do this because Queen 2, Sheer Heart Attack, those were fun to cover, but this is where Queen becomes Queen, in my opinion. I mean, Sheer Heart Attack is when they kind of broke the mainstream a little bit with Killer Queen. This is when they find their rhythm, and from A Night at the Opera, like I said, to Jazz, so you're getting like 4 like really, really good albums, and this is when you hit their peak. So I'm very happy to talk about it. So, Brian, you have any final thoughts before we close out?
No, not much itself. I think we summed it up really well, but yeah, it's a definitely an album that's definitely must give it a listen to. And if you haven't checked out any Queen albums yet, yeah, I'd say start with this one. It's probably a good one to start with.
Perfect album to get into. You know, I mean, it's the album that I got into, but when Brian got into, so listen to it. If you like Queen but not a Queen fan, and you want to get into Queen and the albums, at the Opera, do it now. But all right, everyone, thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you, Brian, for joining me, and I'll see you guys in the next video. I'll see you later. Peace out.